Hello again. Welcome back to the Tailgate Kitchen with me, Mark, and Mandy the Sandy Landy. Bonjour, or buongiorno I should maybe say, because there's a little bit of an Italian feel to what we're going to be doing today. But first let me introduce the area to you. Behind me here is, I'll move out the way so you can see it, is a magnificent Canigou, the sacred mountain of the Catalan people, the biggest peak on the eastern end of the Pyrenees. She stands at 2,784 meters at her peak, and she's absolutely beautiful. Right, back to the cooking. What have we got on today? Bit more ambitious today. I'm going to try and cook a risotto up here, which might sound a little bit mad if you cook risotto, and you know it can take a little while, but that's where my little hack comes in that I've learned recently about how you can speed up the process, so we'll come back to that. What have I got in terms of my ingredients? Well, all risottos need Parmigiano. I've got some fresh mint from the garden. I've got a lemon, some butter. I've got some peas here. This is going to be a pea and mint risotto. These were frozen when I took them out of the freezer, put them in a jar. I've had them in a cool box, but they're starting to defrost, which is great. So they'll cook that a little bit quicker. I've got a flask with hot stock in it, because you'll need stock for making risotto: salt, pepper, olive oil. And this is the magic thing. This is my risotto base, and I'll come back to that in a second. I've got heat under here already because I want this pan to be pretty hot when I start cooking this. So I love risotto. I make it quite a lot at home, but I also eat it a lot in restaurants, and I've always been amazed at how quickly a restaurant brings a risotto to my table, having ordered it. You know, you order it, 15 minutes later there's a lovely risotto there, whereas normally it takes me, I don't know, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour to create a risotto from scratch. So I was wondering how restaurants manage to do that. And the trick is, it's a simple trick I probably should have guessed, is that you make your risotto base in advance. So essentially your risotto base is that simple sort of plain risotto. You fry off some celery and some onions, you put your risotto rice in, you stir that around, get it mixed in, you put some white wine or vermouth in, cook off the alcohol, let that get absorbed, and then you start adding stock after you've added a bit of salt, stir that in. And you would cook that, if you were doing it at home for a risotto that you were going to eat there and then, you'd cook that all the way through, serve it, delicious, adding in whatever ingredients you want. Now the trick with this base is to cook it to about 75% done. So when it's still got quite a lot of bite in the rice, you cook it to that point, then you spread it really thinly on a baking tray and you let it cool down, and that stops the cooking. If you kept it together and let it cool down, the residual heat in it would keep it cooking, and you'd end up with an overcooked risotto when you came back for it. If you spread it thinly on a baking tray, let it cool down, and then you can put that in a tub, keep it in the fridge for a couple of days, but it speeds it up. When you come to make the risotto, as I'm going to do now, it means that you've already got a base of risotto there, already pretty well cooked. It's going to need maybe 15 minutes more cooking, adding your ingredients to get it to exactly what you want it to be. So as I say, I've got heat under this pan. I want to get quite hot, because what I'm going to do first of all is put some stock in there. I want that stock to be really, really hot before I add my portion of risotto base. So it's feeling pretty hot. As ever, we're up a mountain, so it's a little bit windy, but I'm thinking that's going to be okay. I've got the heat up quite high here, and that's okay. You can have the heat quite high here and then just deal with it as you put the ingredients in. So I'll get my stock open. We'll put a bit in the pan first and then add the risotto to it. Just put a little bit in and see what happens. Lovely, steaming away. There's a lot of heat in that pan already. I'm going to put a fairly decent slug of stock in there, maybe even take the heat down a little bit. And then I'm going to get my risotto base. I won't need all of this. I'm going to keep some for home later. Now the trick with risotto, I think people sometimes feel that risotto is really complicated to make. It's not, it's really easy. You've just got to pay attention to it all of the time. The thing with the risotto is you've got to keep stirring it when it's bubbling away. Otherwise it'll get stuck to the bottom of the pan. It'll become overcooked. It just won't be good. So it's an easy recipe, it's simple stuff, but you've just got to pay attention to it all of the time. So that's really nicely bubbling away now. I want to keep stirring it. It shouldn't stick to the bottom of this pan, but I want to keep moving it so that the stock gets nicely absorbed. It's smelling lovely already actually, which is a good sign. So what I'm going to do is just give that little rice a little bit of a taste. If I can just pull some out with that fork. That's delicious, and it's not a million miles off being done. So what I'm going to do now is get some of my peas in, for sure. Probably won't need all of these. And then when that's almost to the point of being cooked, what we're going to do is add some butter. We're going to grate some Parmesan, Parmigiano, and get that in there. In fact, I'll do that in a sec. Take off the rind slightly. Don't throw your rind away. You can always put that in soups and stocks for a little bit of cheesy goodness. I've got a ridiculous cheese grater here, as you'll see. This was a gift from my mum, bless her. But it'll do the job for sure. Get myself a nice little handful of Parmigiano to go in this with the butter in a little while. Just about perfect. So it's got a tiny little bit of bite left in the rice, which is exactly what you want, because although I'm going to take the heat off in a minute and add the Parmesan in the butter, it'll keep cooking in the heat. We're going to cover it, stir it in. So Parmesan's going in, nice handful of Parmesan, possibly a bit much there, but hey ho. All good. A bit of butter, which is also melted a fair bit already, so that's going to be nice and quick to melt. Right, I'm just going to stir that in, and I'm taking that off the heat now. The heat's off. Don't need any more heat in that. I'm going to stir that in, and you can kind of see that what I was saying, if you draw a spoon through it, you get a gap and it's not closing up immediately, which means that there's just about enough stock in there to absorb into this rice as we cover it. That's all stirred in beautifully now. So what we're going to do is take that off there, and we're just going to cover that, and that can stay there for 5 minutes or so while we think about chopping up some mint. See if I can get some lemon zest off here. Quite fancy a bit of lemon zest as well as the mint in it, and then also a little bit for garnish. Going to put my mint in, a little bit of lemon zest, not too much, a bit of lemon juice, capture any pips that are coming out of that. Stir that in. Right, I'm going to put a bit of pepper in. It had salt in it when I cooked the base, so you might not need to salt it too much more, to taste obviously. I'm quite hungry, a decent portion. Pop it on your plate. I'm going to put a little bit more mint on the top, a little bit of lemon zest, and a tiny drizzle of olive oil. And there we have it. A little mountaintop risotto. Pea and mint, bit of lemon. Doesn't look bad, does it? That is okay. Thanks for watching. If you like it, why don't you like it and subscribe to the channel? You won't miss a video, and we'll see where we go next. Take care.